Good morning, home builders. We are on day 64 of the Gospel in You, and we're looking at the path to power. We find ourselves in Philippians chapter 3, and he says in verse 9, "And being found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Christ, the righteousness which is of God by faith, that I may know him, and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead." Now, Paul met Jesus Christ on the path on his road to Damascus, and he realized at that point the power of Christ's resurrection. He was alive after being crucified. He was risen from the dead, and he never forgot that. And now we find him speaking here to the church in Philippi. And if you go to Acts chapter 16, you remember this is where he was beaten and thrown into prison. He understands the power of God's resurrection. He understands the power that Christ gives him by overcoming the fear of death. Lester Roloff, a great preacher years ago, said, "Nobody ever got resurrected who wasn't first dead." Nobody ever got resurrected who wasn't dead first, the way he says it. The reason many Christians don't have the power of God in their life is that they're not willing to surrender themselves to experience the power that God has for us. And this is a tough one to put forward in our life. Are we willing to surrender and experience the sufferings of God to then feel the strength of God and the power of his resurrection? And it wasn't any different then than it is now. And that's a hard one to swallow. Are we willing to do that? Put aside our self-comfort, put aside our self-reliance, that we will rely on God. He tells us in Romans 8:11, but if the spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his spirit that dwelleth in you. Now, this is more than just our physical bodies. This is our how we live our life. So the question now is not whether there is power available for our needs, but whether we're willing to lay aside whatever is necessary to attain that. So something to think about as we go through this week. Today's thought: God's resurrection power is available to every Christian who is willing to die to self. Are we willing to do that? Think about that today as you go through the week. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I love you guys. Have a good day. Bye.